We've got you covered all season long. Welcome to the BCSN Nation podcast, powered by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Boom, you see the confetti. Here it is, Season 3, Episode 19. It's Episode 100 of the BCSN Nation podcast, powered by Buffalo Wild Wings. The greatest of all times. It's the greatest of all times podcast. Why not, right? Episode 100. Gentlemen, we're going to start by keeping it 100. Brandon Carnes here, Justin Feldkamp, Deon Thompson. I want you guys to keep it 100. Give me your must-improve advice for an area team if they have the goals to get the aspirations they have set. Deon, you can go first.
You know what? This is what I love about the podcast.
Here we go.
We can keep it 100.
There we go. Keeping it real.
So I was on Cherry Street last night.
Yep.
If I have to be totally honest with you, St. Francis, I'm going to keep it 100. When they establish Horton first, okay, they're going to be difficult to beat. They got away from that last night. You know, granted, he was in foul trouble, but if you watch that third quarter, they started off working it inside out. They have to do that. If they do that, they're going to be an effective team. If they do it the other way, they're going to get the results that I think they got last night. But they have to start with Horton. There's nobody that can stop him when he gets it down low inside. Nobody. Plus, it's not a black hole. What I mean by that, fans, is he just doesn't look to shoot every time. He's going to find guys because he's going to draw double, triple teams. And he's been, obviously, he's been working enough to see the guys in the opposite side wings and dropping it down to the lower guys, cutting, flashing back door. Yeah. He is a guy you have to establish, St. Francis, and that's just me keeping it 100.
Got to establish Alan Horton. Get your big man inside. Let him work it outside. Justin, you're up.
Yeah, keeping it 100. Sweater game on par. We're keeping it 100, baby.
Okay.
I am also wearing a sweater. All right. We're all wearing sweaters.
We got the memo.
Cancel the podcast. We're going to skip to 101. I don't even want to be here anymore.
I'm going to say keep it improving for Perrysburg. They looked solid on Tuesday night against their rival Anthony Wayne, a team that had come into the Hive and beat them before. And Coach Dave Boyce, I tell you what, 600 wins, yes, speaks for itself, but they are young. The Yellow Jackets are super young, and they're getting some quality minutes from a bunch of different guys, so much so that they take down an Anthony Wayne team that just took, a slightly undermanned Whitmer team down to the wire just this past Friday night.
Sure.
I'll tell Dave Boyce to, hey, continue to do what you're doing. Maybe they're not at 100 just yet, but on their way up.
Yeah, if we're continuing on that trend, I'll stay with the team you just brought up, Whitmer. Shot selection, shot selection, shot selection. When they are slashing and getting to the rim and using that to kick outside, that's when this team is playing its best. When they get that complacent, just shooting threes and going with it, that's when they look not exactly their best. We got plenty to talk about with Whitmer, with some of these other teams, with Central Catholic coming up today on the podcast. We've got our Game of the Week brought to you by Dunsheving, Oregon, our Clip of the Week from Renewal by Anderson, and plenty more to talk about. Make sure you're right here every single Wednesday for a brand new episode of the podcast, or get us on any audio medium you need, or bcsnnation.com/podcast. And while you're at that /, go to Twitter or X or Instagram, whatever you want, at BCSN Sports. Give us a follow on all of our social medias. We're getting into the debate. It's episode 100. Let's get into some debates to start with. I want to talk about the City League to start. Last week, we had Lima Senior and Start. Lima Senior ran away with it. Now, is there anybody, any way, any chance anybody is catching Lima Senior in the City League? Because Rogers and Start played last night, and Start handled Rogers, which maybe I thought, that's the team, right? That's the team that would take on Lima Senior. Start took that win there, Justin.
Yeah, that was the one team that I wrote on my piece of paper in prep for the podcast, that Rogers was the team that could challenge them. But we saw Lima Senior, just like you said, route Start, and then Start beats down Rogers. So if you're playing the A to B to C type of deal, transitive property, it doesn't look like anybody can stop them. And I think we're kind of fishing a little bit, because Lima Senior is not only the best team in the City League, but more than that. They're one of the best teams in Northwest Ohio and possibly the state once we get to the tournament. But Lima Senior has weight on this Friday, and then that January 31st game against Rogers. And remember, City League, it's just one time through. It's not home and homes throughout the entire season. So each team only gets one shot against each other. But I see Lima Senior going unscathed throughout the league, and they've only gotten one loss this far this season, and that was at Whitmer back in December.
Yeah.
Well, in the interest of debate,
I
have to agree with you, man. Come on, man. I mean, who are we kidding here? Nobody's touching Lima Senior.
Sure.
I'm just going to be. They have too many weapons, too athletic, and like you said, that's one of the teams that's going to make a good run for the state. So No, I don't see it.
Yeah,
I
Coach
hope I'm
Simpson.
wrong. Rod, don't be mad at me. BJ, don't be upset. But I'm just being honest, man. Y'all know me.
Yeah, Coach Simpson has been 100. Their goal is a state championship. Their goal is to get down to Dayton and to make an impact down there. And with Sean Foster, Willie Foster, 𝗍𝗀 Cotton, all those guys. And we talked about your boy O.J. Waller had a good game last night. He was one of the lone bright spots for Rogers in that start matchup. But
they just
he's
don't
got
score
growth.
enough,
Right.
though. I mean, look at the final score last night. You got to score with Lima Senior. And
Sure.
I just don't see it right now.
And then start, right? We talked about this last week, too. If the Jeffersons don't have it going, where's that third option, right? These are things, and we're in January, right? There's development to happen here, things that they can find, things that they can fix. So we'll see if anybody can top the top Spartans as they've been since they joined the City League and what feels like about everything. We're going now just from start down Talmadge or down
Tremainsville.
Down Tremainsville. I grew up there. You think
Look
I know
at that.
this
The
road,
guy
right?
from Cincinnati.
Look at
even
this.
knowing
I'm
it.
going to just see it. My sweater game's
okay.
off. My street
Geography.
game's off. Why am I here? We're talking about Whitmer, though. We've mentioned last week, and they didn't play last night, Antoine West. The Panthers have been without him for a handful of games now. What is the impact this team is going to get without Antoine West? Are they becoming a better team by not having the Purdue commit, Justin?
Yeah, well, I'll just say you got to put on your coach's hat when you think about this question and answer and response. You got to be able to develop more options. It's just a simple fact. He's not playing on the court. Someone else has to start in his place and get more minutes as a result. So you're developing more options when it comes to balanced scoring, keeping players on the court engaged. And I think that sometimes when you have a Division I Big Ten recruit, they score more than their teammates. They get the ball more than their teammates. And I think sometimes, I'm trying to look at the silver lining here, where, okay, the other four guys on the court or the other three guys on the court, when you got 𝗦𝗫𝗶𝗵𝗁 in there, a BGSU commit as well, you might get a little, I won't say lax, but you just know that that teammate is going to score more often. I just think when you have more balanced scoring, you're more engaged. Your defense can translate to offense and back and forth. So I think that when you're doing that, instead of maybe a one-on-one ISO, you're having the entire opponent's defense play defense harder and longer, which only pays dividends in the third and fourth quarters.
Now, Deion, how does that affect everything once Antoine West is back, right?
Well,
how does this team continue to develop knowing, all right, we can do these things without Antoine? How does that help when he's back?
Well, I'm going to answer that first question first. Okay, are they a better team? No, they're not a better team without West, obviously. I mean, you're taking out almost 20 points a game. Like you said, a big team recruit. But however, I think 𝗦𝗫𝗍𝗶𝗵𝗁 has stepped up. But there's the complimentary guys. There's a sophomore, his name escapes me, number one.
Christopher.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, so those complimentary players are getting some quality minutes. And let's just call it what it is. Even if they don't say it, every guy is next man up. Every guy thinks that they should be playing, and now they're getting a chance to prove it. And this is helping Coach Stacy because his bench is getting longer. He's really seeing what guys can do in some valuable games. So this can only bode well for them once the season, continues, because now we don't have to worry if guys get in foul trouble. We got guys that can step up, guys who are earning minutes. They're playing better defense. And if you notice, they even started switching to that little 1-3-1.
Yeah, they the zone last week.
Which is great to me because they're putting the long guys up top. They're getting some different options. So Coach Stacy is doing a good job of developing guys, and that's what it's about at this level, developing players, because you don't know who's going to go down. You never know. So guys are getting valuable minutes, and they're proving their worth right now.
Yeah, there's somebody we know is developing through this adversity the Whitmer Panthers are facing because he's our Sean's Irish Tavern Player of the Week. Cisco, hit the wipe for me. All right, Sean's Irish Tavern Player of the Week, Andre Young III, a 23 bomb last week when they took on Anthony Wayne in White House. They needed every bucket from him, a 73-70 win for the Panthers. And we talked about it. This is just one of those guys who he's always played well, right? He's always had a role in this Panthers offense. And with Antoine West out, he's been able to expand that role.
He started off good. If you watched him this year,
absolutely.
He's been really consistent. And, that was my pick, too, by the way, guys.
Hey, by the way,
I got to flex on it a little bit.
There you go.
But, when you watch him, he's a junior. Guy probably be the leader next year. He's doing really well. So, shouts out to him. And his confidence is growing more and more each game because now he knows he's the second option.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Andre Young has been playing well. I'm going to give him a B, maybe a B+ on the mustache game. It looks more a little about like that little peach fuzz caterpillar look here, but I like how mustaches are making a comeback in the sports world. You see it on TV all the time. Andre, B, maybe B+.
All right, B+ will work. He also dropped 31 last night in their win over Northview. So continuing to expand that role. 23 Friday, 31 last night. Andre Young is balling out enough to be our Sean's Average Tavern Player of the Week. Deion's
I
got
don't
some
know if
ads.
this is accurate,
Sure.
but I'm friends with his granddad on. You guys,
Okay.
I know all these old guys. Now, he said it was a triple-double last night.
I
Now,
know I think he had 13 assists.
Okay. Now I
Looking
know
at
sometimes
the blade here, looks like 13 assists, 5 rebounds, 31 points.
Okay, all right. Well,
pretty good game.
It's close enough, but
Hey.
5 rebounds short, but
well, that's through granddad eyes. You know what I mean? You guys are right stuff
Whoa,
down.
we're halfway there. Now we got to get to a 30-second ad from Buffalo Wild Wings. It's only 30 seconds. We'll be right back. Don't worry.
Buffalo Wild Wings buy one, get one free boneless Thursdays saved me so much cash. I can finally do everything I've ever wanted in life, like skydiving. You ready? No, this was a mistake, a huge mistake. I want to go back. Go! Yeah, I'll probably just use the money I saved to get more buy one, get one free boneless wings at B-Dubs. No brainer. Buffalo Wild Wings. Let's go sports bar.
At participating locations, not valid with other offers or discounts. See website or app for details.
All right, our friends over at The Blade put up their second Blade poll of the season. Boys side, girls side. These goes divisions 1 through 7. You can put up the boys poll now, Cisco. If you're on audio, you better listen good because we're going through a lot here. Division 1 and 2 are lumped together in this, and then 3, 4, and 5 are together, and then 6 and 7. Whitmer atop the boys' side, followed by St. Francis, St. John's, Anthony Wayne, and Perrysburg for that 1 and 2. And then Division 2, or 3, 4, and 5, Central, Rogers, Otsego, Liberty Benton, Southview, and then followed by the final 2, Patrick Henry, Evergreen, Otto Hills, Old Fort, and Pettisville. Just your breakdown here, gentlemen. Guys, teams that fit where they're supposed to be, or maybe slide this team up, down, Justin.
Yeah, Cisco, leave this up so we can refer to it. I would say Division 1 and 2. Just looking at Game Day Nation with what Rhett and Deion were doing, a number of those teams there on the left side, pretty consistent. I think you could make the argument of switching a 3-slot to a 2-slot type of deal. We've seen St. Francis and St. John's 2 and 3. They've split their regular season games.
Right.
Anthony Wayne just lost to
2 in a
Perrysburg,
row.
so this came prior to the Tuesday night
Correct.
game at Perrysburg. So you can make the argument, slide Perrysburg above Anthony Wayne. But I think, you know what I like, Deion, about this entire season thus far is Whitmer went 25 and 3 last year. Mm-hmm. Across the board, due to the parity where you got a lot of talented kids at all 3 Catholic schools, you got the NLL schools, you got a lot of different teams having good to above average seasons. There's no one who is clear-cut the best in the Hyper Toledo area. You can make the argument if you go beyond our BCSN footprint, Patrick Henry, NWAL territory, they're off to an undefeated start, playing really well. But there's a lot of parity, at least in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years that I've been in Toledo. This year, so far, there's a ton of parity.
I'm going to agree with you, and I was just looking at that Perrysburg, Anthony Wayne, that could be switched around. Also, Southview. Southview was, they're not a bad team. We might could move them up possibly the 4. I think all the number 1 teams hold and serve right now at Central Catholic.
Yeah,
I saw them last night, and trust me, they passed the eye test.
Yeah,
definitely deserving of the number 1 spot. Whitmer as well. Ottawa Hills, guys, we don't talk about them because they don't have the quote-unquote star. Yeah. But Coach Lindsay is very consistent. We talk about Coach Boyce, both guys from Cardinal Stritch, but Coach Lindsay does a great job year in and year out. We're not having the most guys, but his system is really good. Those guys are going to play you hard, have a good, and they're not going to be afraid. So Ottawa Hills is a team that's kind of sneaking up on me.
Yeah, you mentioned Southview. Southview gets an opportunity to kind of prove their worth. They won on Tuesday night against Fremont Ross at Southview. They play Whitmer later this week, so that'll be a kind of a barometer. Yes, it's a Cardinal division versus Buckeye division, smaller school versus bigger school, but you can kind of get a good measuring stick game there. But I agree with you on Ottawa Hills because we haven't seen Toledo Christian like last year run the table and get far and be number 1 in the state. So again, a lot of parity.
All right, boys' side is good there. Let's switch to the girls. We'll be quick with this one. Division 1 and 2, no question, right? Anthony Wayne sits shoulders above everybody else. Start Northview, Findlay, Perrysburg. And then Divisions 3 through 5, Waseon, Notre Dame, Bowsher, Delta, Genoa. 6 and 7. Patrick Henry, Danbury, Macomb, Arcadia, and Gibsonburg. Patrick Henry sitting real pretty in that Division 6 and 7 side of everything. But I think we can agree. We saw it last week. Anthony Wayne is the cream of the crop when it comes to Northwest Ohio hoops, and potentially in the state. We'll see as things move on.
100%. I think it's 1 and 2, Anthony Wayne and start, and then a significant gap to Northview. We saw Anthony Wayne just straight up drub Northview earlier this season. So those two are clear cut. We've seen A-Dub and Start battle deep into the postseason against each other, kind of knock each other out within the past 4-year stretch. And then on down the line, looking at Notre Dame, Coach Travis Galloway, been there, done that. He's taken his teams down to Columbus, down to Dayton when it comes to the state tournament. Last few years, they haven't had the top-tier talent that they've had when they have gone on those deep tournament runs, but they're kind of making their way back, and it's going to be interesting to see them, considering they used to go down to states as a Division I team. Now they're Division III with the OHSA expansion from 4 divisions to 7. But it'll be interesting to see them. I like what Bowser's been doing with Tiffany Blackman. They're fun to watch. And then up and down in the smaller division schools, PH, Danbury, Macomb, Arcadia, Gibsonburg, all having sensational seasons so far.
Right, Deion, real quick.
Nothing to say.
Nothing to say.
Honestly, you covered it all. I think this is accurate.
We'll take it. And we'll also take it now to our clip of the week, brought to you by Renewal by Anderson. Cisco, you know what to do. A clip we will remember for a whiles, if you will. Down in Springfield, BG taking on the Blue Devils, and Sam Wiles. Foot was on the line, just a 2. They corrected the score later, but Sam Wiles gets the winner for BG, snapping a 7-game losing streak the Bobcats were on. I don't think, and you watch the replay, he hit through some contact, too.
We're in the
Gets
studio.
hit in the arm. Plays it through, nails it. Yeah, you guys, we all enjoyed this on Friday together.
It's a great shot right there. Look at, I love the fans when they do that.
By his team, yes.
I also like how sometimes you don't know if it's a true buzzer beater and the clock went to 0-0-0. But this is one, as you see in the bottom right of your screen. Yes, it did. Right at zeros, pretty much right on the nose. So I love that we didn't have to go. I know you don't have review at the regular season during high school hoops, but still, I love how this was just game over, celebratory moment.
Yes.
And coming off a 7-game losing streak, it meant the world to them. This kid's a sophomore, delivered. Great post-game interview, too, that we showed on Game Day Nation. Just a great moment. We added it to our Game of the Year list and potential Play of the Year list when it comes to BCSN honors come June.
Guys, watch the bench. I'm big on that because this is a team.
Everybody's for your guy.
Yes. So young people out there, look at this. Just watch the bench. Everybody's excited, and that to me, that's
getting out of town.
That's going to look good because for practice and things like that. Because we've all seen guys with attitudes on the bench. I'm not playing as much, but look at this team; they're so happy, and I love that.
One more note about this: Sam, after the game, told us that his number wasn't necessarily called. The play that was called in the timeout and the team huddle before the team went out on the court.
Yeah,
it was designed for something else, but. Credit Springfield for breaking up that plan, but BG didn't pause and shoot up some
panic.
desperation shot or not. We've seen teams not get shots off at all, Deion.
Yeah.
So we brought that up during Game Day Nation as well. So I credit the coaching staff for basically going to Plan B and the players enacting Plan B to make it happen.
Sam Wiles, ice in his veins, gets the win for Bowling Green. Our Renewal by Anderson clip of the week. We mentioned Notre Dame a little bit earlier. We're going to Notre Dame Thursday, not Friday, Thursday. Notre Dame and St. Ursula, a rivalry matchup worthy of the student section of the week chain. Unison Health, the Mental Health Recovery Board of Lucas County. They will be there. Nicole will be there for the student section of the week chain. Coming to Notre Dame, you see the graphic. It's on our socials if you needed to see it anymore. We always know that they bring it every time we bring the chain out. They got the hype, but now it's time for another matchup. We talked about Clay a little bit. We talked about Northview a little bit. Well, they're playing each other Friday night, 7:15 p.m. on the BCSN Plus app. A great matchup in a crossover NLL Buckeye Cardinal matchup for Clay and for Northview. Both teams trying to right the ship a little bit on the way the season's gone so far, Deion.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a good game. And I got to say this, Coach Armstead, do not text me on the air talking about we didn't break the play down right last week. But, no, I think this is a good matchup, even matchup. Clay's playing really well. They're playing hard. I mean, think about when was the last time we talked about Clay in basketball?
Right. Last season, Lon Armstead comes in, starting to flip the script.
And these guys are starting to believe he's a young, they have young players as well. So
Sure.
Should be a good game.
Yeah, for them, it's been 𝗏𝗵𝗃𝗃 really stepping into a good role for them. Obviously not having the leadership of Mason Heinschel. You've seen on the court, things have kind of developed. They've been basically back and forth, wins and losses all season. Got the win over BG last night, Northview, we talked about. Not a great Tuesday night for them, taking on Whitmer, a big loss. But Tyler Robinson been the centerpiece of that offense. He had 20 against Whitmer last night, and it kind of feels like as Tyler Robinson goes, this offense for Coach McDonald goes.
Yeah, Coach McDonald in his 10th year, he's nearing 170 wins. Keep in mind, that's about 17 wins a season in high school hoops.
That's pretty good.
That's nothing to sniff at. That's a great job by him. You got Gavin Kiefer, Carson Holmes, Jack Schoen. I think a lot of those guys have been adjusting to life at the varsity level. I mean, a jump, Dion, you could echo this, going from JV to varsity. Pretty significant jump, even at the high school level. On the flip side for Clay, we talked about Coach Armstead. He said he brought back some of the hardest working players who were sophomores and juniors, now juniors and seniors. Braylon Williams, Grant Oberdick, Carson Vincent, Aiden Berryman, amongst 𝗏𝗵𝗃𝗃 that you said there. So I think there's a lot of balanced scoring on both of these teams. Could make for a balanced, tight game from beginning to end.
Aiden Berryman, somebody who stepped into that starting role as a freshman last year that Coach Armstead was excited about. He's played well. The big difference for Northview is the differential, their points per game in wins and losses. They're scoring almost 70 points a game in their wins. They're just over 50, not including last night's game, in their losses. So that 19 point spread in your wins and losses is a huge factor when it comes down to it.
100%. Yeah, I think that every type of possession matters. When you have an even matchup, I connect this to the football world. I remember a coach telling me that when you size it up, if it's Team A versus Team B, if Team A has the advantage based on talent, record, et cetera, Team B has to figure out ways to cut into that imagined deficit
level the playing field
prior to the kickoff. So you might have to try onside kick, or you might have to go for it on fourth down in your own territory. So when you're sizing these teams up, there is no clear-cut full advantage.
Sure.
So you're going to get, hey, we got to get it here for 32 minutes, quarter by quarter. And I know the coaches like to break down a quarter into even smaller segments. So it's going to be that constant, relentless willingness to make it happen from the tip-off all the way till the final buzzer.
Plenty of time spent breaking this down on Friday night. Also, plenty of time spent breaking down our game of the week. Brought to you by Dunn Chevy in Oregon. Cisco, you know what to do. Dion was at Gallagher last night. We're going back there on Friday. St. John's Central Catholic, 7 o'clock on the BCSN Plus app. Both of these teams we think are among the most talented in the area for Northwest Ohio, potentially in the state if they can get everything right going their way. Dion, we talked about it before the podcast. This Central Catholic team has found their groove, and there's so many different guys that are contributing, right? We know what Isaiah McRussell is. We know what Manny Johnson is, but there's other guys that you've seen step up in those steads.
Yeah, like I said, last night I got a chance to really see the real eye test, looking at them on the court. These guys are big and athletic, but you got Wardrop, who's an outstanding player. Carruthers, long. I mean, he did a great job last night against Horton. Hornbeak, and then you got Kennard. This is the first time I watched him up close. Kid's a sophomore, correct? I mean, great body, great control, can get to the basket, and he drives really hard. And the thing I like about Central, they get up on you defensively. They've already beat St. John's once, right? So, in my opinion, I think Central has the clear advantage on Cherry Street this week.
Central Catholic won that first game, which was the league game.
Sure.
So 65-57 was the final score. Talking to Coach Floyd, he says, hey, he knows darn well that St. John's isn't going to be happy about that, so they're going to be turning for some vengeance here. And kind of a bigger picture approach, guys. I was thinking over the course of time, you've got both of these guys who played at St. John's for Coach Ed Heinschel, Mike Schoen, Mike Floyd. Not only did they go back to St. John's, similar age guys, they go back to St. Joan of Arc in elementary school. So with these guys, everything matters. They want to beat each other. Just like if I was coaching against you, I want to beat you, you'd want to beat me kind of thing. So that's what makes this sport great. And I love the fact that there's so many talented athletes up and down the roster. This is not just two horses and two horses.
Borderline
you got
all-star game.
Jaden Jones, Jalen Teemer, 𝗲𝗏 𝗀𝗀𝘀, Coy Hammock, Ethan James for St. John's side. Then you got Manny Johnson, Dre Wardrop, Kalen Carruthers, Kalen Hornbeek, Isaiah Mack Russell. I mean, you got some top-tier college-level talent in some cases on both of these teams. One thing I'll talk about for this game, St. John's had a full week off. They did not play a Tuesday game, midweek game. So they will be off since last Friday. They didn't even play a Saturday game. And then the points per game, somewhat even in the 60s. Central's averaging 69 points per game, kind of inflated by a 90-point performance earlier in the year. St. John's in 61 points. But Coach Floyd would want to speed that up. That kind of is indicative. They want to get those easy transition buckets. So they would rather speed up the game a little bit. St. John's would like to keep a tempo a little compressed, if you will.
Sure.
But Schoen told me that they got to be more physical, play transition defense, be strong with the ball, patient on offense, and then play with a sense of urgency. And then Floyd told me speed up St. John's and then kind of play bigger than what they actually are, which means boxing out appropriately, hands up on defense, limiting the easy shots and easy buckets for the Titans.
Yeah, the size inside for St. John's, whether it's Coy Hammock inside or you've got obviously 𝗲𝗀 𝗀𝗀𝘀 had 29 points last Friday. That's a matchup I'm looking at. Caden Carruthers and 𝗲𝗀 𝗀𝗀𝘀 matching up inside, a couple of big guys in the area.
That was one of the things Central did a great job of. They took advantage of matchups because St. Francis switched a couple of times, and they had Carruthers. Heck was on Carruthers, and they found it right away. And so, you know, they're a team too. They're disciplined. You know, I'm used to when you watch it on TV, it just doesn't do any justice. But those guys were patient. They cut. They don't take a lot of bad shots. So this is going to be a tough game for St. John's.
Central Catholic last year, I mean, they had Isaiah Mack Russell was a freshman playing varsity. I don't care how awesome you are. I know he's the #1 rated sophomore in the entire
skill level
state.
jump
from 8th grade.
To come in and play against, I mean, man, you could be, depending on your age, you could be a 14-year-old during basketball season playing against an 18-year-old.
Yeah, that's the difference.
I know you got, he's taller, he's thinner, he still has more room to grow, but nearly everybody on Central Catholic's roster last year, Coach Floyd told me, hey, we're going to take our lumps. We're in this new league, the Central Catholic High School League, or the Central High School League, Catholic High School League, sorry, and then being able to get that experience. And I tell you what, it's paying off. You got to swallow it hard if you're a coach saying, dang, man, you want to win every single game. But you just knew that you weren't based on the talent that you had on the team at that time, but you knew that those were some potential budding stars, and they're reaping some of that lumps from last year and playing well now.
If you can't tell, we are plenty excited for the game of the week, Friday, 7 p.m. on the BCSN Plus app. Check out these guys on Game Day Nation. Plenty to go. We got 30 seconds from Buffalo Wild Wings, though, to catch our breath and get ready. Cisco, hit it.
I've saved so much money enjoying Buffalo Wild Wings BOGO half-off traditional wing Tuesdays. I can finally afford everything I've ever wanted in life. Wings. All I ever wanted was more wings. So yeah, buy one, get one half-off traditional wings is the perfect deal for me and my lifetime yearnings. I value it more than literally anything. Buffalo Wild Wings. Let's go sports bar.
At participating locations, not valid with other offers or discounts. See website or app for details.
Let's go games list.
Here we go, Cisco. Give me the games list. We got plenty going on Friday night. Thursday night, we're starting it off. Northwood Cardinal Stritch on the girls' side. That'll be on the BCSN Plus app at 7 o'clock. And then Friday night is a busy one. St. John Central we talked about. We got Emmanuel Christian and Maumee Valley in Taction. Southview, Whitmer, Justin mentioned. Clay and Northview, Napoleon and A-Dub, Start Bowser, Lake Rossford, and then Sand Creek and Whiteford going at it north of the border. All those games on the BCSN Plus app. Justin, what you got?
I'll say who's going to win the TAC. I think in a lot of our leagues, we've seen Whitmer ahead above everybody else when it comes to the NLL Buckeye. Southview appears to be ahead of everybody in the NLL Cardinal. Who's going to win the TAC? You could convince me with Emmanuel Christian. You could convince me with Maumee Valley. You could convince me with Ottawa Hills. You could convince me with TC. That's 4 teams. And yes, those 4 of them, the cream of the crop. And they have kind of all, Dion, kind of shared the wealth, if you will, and getting to the top of the last few years. Cardinal Stritch, even when Kaczmarek was there in the TAC, and all 5 of those teams. That's what makes the TAC is great. Mason Lowry said it during one of our broadcasts earlier this year. It's always an exciting Friday night when you're talking about TACtion.
Yeah, we love Taction.
Yeah, TAC always comes down to February. Always has. So
Taction will never let us down. We appreciate you being here for episode 100 of the BCSN Nation podcast. Justin would like to say, if you enjoy it, tell a friend. Follow at Justin 𝗏𝗏𝗵, at Thompson Jiu-Jitsu, at BCSN Sports. And then we'll be here right here next Wednesday for a brand new episode of the BCSN Nation podcast, episode 101. It's still special, don't you worry. Make sure you check us all out Friday night on Game Day Nation. Until then, see you next Wednesday.